Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, Charlie Hawkins, editor of Ultra Confusion. I am here today with Miguel, who is an alumni of USC's Interactive Entertainment Program, and he's had a lifelong passion for literature, film, and interactive media. He was born in Portugal and came to the US 4 years ago with a strong belief that interactive media has the potential to be an introspective and capable of exploring human condition as other established art forms. His senior thesis project is a game called Thrall, which is now going to be an exclusive on the Ouya. Um, and Thrall is his group's attempt to explore the interactive medium's inherent artistic power, and it will be released on the Ouya this fall. Now, real quick, uh, he is, whoops, I accidentally clicked off the wrong thing here. He is the creative lead, producer, and lead designer for this game, so he's a man of many, many caps. And of
Yes.
course, Thralled is, um, let me just set the tone here. Brazil, 1700s, Portuguese
hmm
rule has brought immense misery upon the slaves subjugated to work amongst the dreary sugarcane plantations. And can you pronounce the name for me because I don't want to butcher it. Is this Sura or
Isara.
Isara?
Isara.
Is
Yeah.
amongst those unfortunate. Captured from a small village in the depths of the Congo, Isara is separated from her child upon arrival to the New World and is forced to work on the plantations. After years of bondage, she escapes from the fields and sets out to find her lost son, hiding amidst the Brazilian wilderness while being sought as a runaway. Thralled is an interactive experience that portrays the surreal journey of Asara, a runaway slave separated from her newborn child and tormented by memories of a painful past. Set in 18th century Brazil, Thralled follows Asara as she traverses a nightmarish representation of the New World, reliving a distorted remnants of life in captivity and the events that lead to the taking away of her baby boy. A chronicle of unfaltering love of a mother and the sacrifices she makes to protect her child, Thralled seeks to set foot in the unconventional realm of interactive art and create a heart stirring experience for all audiences, gamers, and non gamers. All right, with that
Yes,
intro,
it
I have to
is.
immediately ask um, where did the idea for Thrall come up? I know it was your thesis, but where did you? I mean, what's the foundation for you creating Thrall?
So the first thing really is that um, it was really born out of the need to talk about slavery,
Mm,
um, because slavery is a widespread problem even today, right? We're talking about the colonial form of slavery that the Portuguese, my ancestors pioneered, right? Um, and it was a phenomena. It was a catastrophe of such large proportions that we are still living with its consequences today. So, for example, the phenomenon of racism,
hmm
especially against people of African descent, that comes straight out of the the othering that that the institution of slavery necessitated. Right, people,
hmm
the slavers needed to look at the slaves as subhuman, and the slaves in this case were distinguished by the color of their skin. Right. Besides that, slavery as an institution is still very much alive and well today, with um, estimates point to about 27 million people enslaved today, right, in the
hmm
21st century. So it's a topic that we wish to talk about, and I think that interactive media is is a medium through which we can discuss it, right? It's totally viable to discuss these serious things through interactive media.
Right.
Um, so yeah, and I also wanted to on the topic of the medium, I also wanted to kind of explore, as you mentioned, the artistic potential of it, the storytelling potential of it, um, and yeah, that's
Right. Right.
that's basically where the idea came from.
Okay. So in the description, it says a nightmarish kind of like reminiscence of what's going on. I see pictures up there
Yeah.
on your website. And so I have to ask, um, uh, what is yes, slavery is a real thing. It still exists, but are you? Was this a completely uh, a dreamt up situation, or was it, or did you have a story that you wanted to mirror to create this game?
So basically, we created. There is a backstory.
Hmm.
Um, we know exactly, the events through which the character lived through.
Right.
But the way it's represented in Thralled, it's not necessarily linear in terms of
Okay.
time and space, right? So in a seamless fashion, you could be going the present to the past,
Hmm.
from the present to the past, or those two times mixed together. So it's very much a metaphorical representation of what she lived through.
Okay.
And, you're basically looking at the world through her perspective and the perspective of, um, how she, how the character really remembers things
Hmm.
and how she looks upon the world, right? So one of the things that we have, we integrate a lot of elements of Congolese mythology
Okay.
in the aesthetics, right? And that really stems from the beliefs that she must have nurtured when she was growing up in the Congo, right? So a lot of magical elements that we have in there directly are directly taken from research on that topic, right?
Okay. So there. I mean, it being a senior thesis, you would automatically think there's a lot of research and a lot of background to go into, but sometimes uh, games as a medium have an interesting effect, and sometimes
Yeah.
you take a small idea and it gets blown out of proportion, and other times you stay really close to the source material. And it sounds like you guys you took a little spin, your own spin on it, but you did your research and all that stuff, which is awesome. Now my next question is, so I'm seeing this artistic medium that you're representing enthralled. And so my question for you is, what was the true focus of this game? Are you are you trying? I mean, is the focus just to tell the story and to give people the education? Is it the art? Is it just the actual gameplay? What is the true focus that you're trying to accomplish with Thrall?
I think those are really, all of those are our focus, right?
Hmm.
So we are trying to tell a story,
Hmm.
but we are telling a story through methods which are inherent to the medium, right? So
Right.
we are telling it through gameplay,
Right.
right? There's no cutscenes, there's no dialogue, there's nothing like that.
Okay.
Everything is interactive, and you're supposed to. The story is not so much told to you as much as you have to imply what it is, and of course it's strongly implied what happens, right? But
Right, right.
it's not told in the traditional
So,
sense. So we very much adapt what we want to tell to the capabilities of this medium.
so basically, you want the individual who interacts with this game to really, since there's no dialogue, to really, you know, immerse themselves into living through what Asura is doing, and the struggles that she has both in the present and the past. Am I on the?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Um, now, so I see that it was a senior project, and now, of course, you're making it into a game for the Ouya. So, what went into that decision to take that next step to actually put it on a platform for people to actually play on a larger scale?
I always wanted to do it.
Hmm.
Um, so the original plan was that we were gonna finish the entire experience by the end of the academic year. It was a 1 year project, right?
Hmm.
Um, that didn't quite happen.
Right.
So when I got out of school, um, we immediately started talking with Ouya about possibilities of funding and whatnot. So the possibility of releasing this project commercially never really, never really left my mind.
Ah, cool. Um, of course, the next question has to be: is there a specific reason why you chose the Ouya over other platforms, or did you choose the Ouya knowing that there are several different like flavors of Android out there that
Mm.
once it's established on the Ouya and I'm sure that you probably have an exclusive contract. Once that's over, you could port it to a bunch of other Android devices.
Yeah, I mean the decision really was made because they're supporting us financially, right? So
Right.
without them, really, we wouldn't be able to
Hmm.
carry on with the project, at
Hmm.
least not in the short term. Um, I feel very comfortable with releasing exclusively for the Ouya because they are very much targeting these types of experiences, right? These types of innovative experiences. So other exclusives on the Ouya besides Thralled and that they're also supporting is That Dragon Cancer, for instance.
Right.
These types of introspective experiences that really put emphasis on exploring the kinds of sentiments that bind us together rather than separating us, which is the case for most video games out there. I'd say that they focus on aggressiveness and competitiveness,
Right.
and the Wii is really trying to sponsor these types of different experiences that explore what it means to be a human being, I suppose. So I'm very comfortable with all being exclusive, at least for the time being, for the Ouya.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's why we made that decision.
So it just dawned on me. So the uh, what what platform was your student project on? Because if you're still building it for the Ouya
Mhm.
as the the I guess the release project, how did you what platform did you give to for the like the student version of the Ouya? I mean, start of Thrall. Sorry.
Yeah. So the student version was for iPad.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so when you had that student version with the iPad, I mean, I mean, were you showing it off to people outside the school or? Uh,
We were. That's actually what Kelly Santiago, who is the head of developer relations at Ouya,
mhm.
that's the version that she saw first, and that's
uh,
what drove her to talk to us
mhm.
and say, hey, do you want to bring it to the Ouya? So yeah, it was shown to basically Thralled was part of a class of senior thesis that at the end of the year, at the end of the class, they basically present them at this event called Demo Day,
Mhm.
uh, during which a number of industry people come and watch those projects and play those projects, right?
Right.
Um, so when we first got in contact with Kelly Santiago, it was during that event. So it wasn't only her. Obviously, it was a lot of industry people that were there. So yeah, a lot of people from outside our school saw it.
Uh-huh. So on your website, I could definitely tell that quite a lot of very recognizable names have articles on your game. So my
Yeah.
my next question has to be, I mean, does that when these articles started coming out, did that like surprise you? Did it freak you out? Were you like, it's about damn time someone recognized how awesome our game was and what we're trying to show? I mean, what was your reaction to having like the LA Times, Polygon, Kotaku, and other publishing centers talk about your game?
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. It's good publicity, and it's just good to see that the press is recognizing this sort of effort.
Right.
Um, the effort to make a different kind of experience.
Hmm.
So you know, yeah, it was good. I don't know what to say beyond that. It's good publicity. It's good how the more people know about it, obviously, the better it is
Absolutely,
for
absolutely.
us and everybody in general.
Right. I personally deal with a lot of independent developers, and I have to say that, you know, grabbing, being able to grab headlines from Polygon and Kotaku. I mean, that's like a, pardon my language, but it's a wet dream to a lot of developers out there. And I have to say, congratulations for
Thank you.
being able to do that. Um, so
It wasn't me really. It was
right. Well, I mean, and
but
you helped make the game that got recognized by these, you know, these different outlets. So you said that the Ouya version's coming out in this fall.
Mhm.
Is it just, is we talking like any time of the fall, or is there like a more? Do you have a target date really for people to start perhaps clearing their calendar to play this game on the Ouya?
I anytime in the fall. We are going to announce a definite
Okay,
release dates in the future, but we're not quite sure about what that's gonna be at this point.
gotcha, gotcha. Okay, so a little bit off of the Thrall track here. Um,
Okay.
as an alumnus of USC's interactive entertainment program, would you say that it was money well worth spent to get that recognition? Because I'm personally from Full Sail, so
I
I
see. Oh, really?
yeah.
Okay.
So for those developers and people who are looking to express their passion about interactive media, about uh, different forms of entertainment, specifically games. Would you say that this type of program would enhance their abilities for knowledge and whatnot for projects down the road?
Absolutely. I think that I grew a lot
Hmm.
uh, professionally as a result of being a USC student. So I don't think that Thralled would have ever been made if I hadn't gone through USC. And just the fact that it's a commercial project now is due to opportunities that I was offered at USC.
Right.
Um, and just a network of alumni that have gone out of there,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, and I keep in touch with current students. Kelly Santiago is a USC alumni, and
Oh,
she
okay.
always comes back to see at the project, so you know to look at the projects and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they just give you the sort of opportunities that will prepare you for realities out there. So Thralled, I mentioned the class that Thralled was a part in.
Hmm.
That class is basically what it consists of is this whole one more than 1 year long process of you have to pitch your idea, you have to be greenlit, and then if your idea is greenlit, then you have to gather a team of engineers, artists,
Hmm.
sound people, and you have to gather this team around you to complete a project within a year. And just the type of environment that you put into within that year is the closest thing to the industry,
Hmm.
to being in the industry that you can get. So that type of experience, that you get at USC, I think it's fantastic. That there can be nothing better to prepare you,
Right.
uh, besides being in the industry itself, I suppose. So
Cool.
yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
Good.
It
Okay.
was it was a lot of money though.
I,
I had to take a lot of loans.
Full Sail
But
ain't cheap either, so I totally understand.
yeah.
And of course, our final project, we had 2 months, not a year. So
Oh really? Two
yeah,
months?
two months.
Oh,
We were in class. We were in class 40 hours a week, but we probably
uh-huh.
worked on it about 80, 90 hours a week because it's
That's
so condensed.
crazy.
Yeah,
When did you graduate from school?
2005.
I see. I see. Man,
Yeah.
2 months. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, so of course I just have a couple of questions left. The first one, of course, is this team that has been assembled to basically bring Thrall to the Ouya. Is this
Uh-huh.
are y'all envisioning continuing to make other projects after Thralled, or is it just kind of Thralled and then everyone can go their separate ways?
Um, I'm not sure yet. It really depends on how it all does,
Hmm.
but most likely everybody will go their separate ways.
I gotcha.
Okay, but it really depends. It really depends.
Okay,
We'll
cool.
see what the future holds. You
Right. Okay, the final one is the final questions are really really easy. So you have successfully made a game for a student showcase, and now you're trying to make a commercialized version for the Ouya. So when
Uh-huh.
you're not trying to do that, what is it that you like to do? Is there any type of games or activities that when you're off the clock that you like to do to unwind? Because everyone's got to have something, otherwise they'd go insane.
Oh man, I know that. Those unwinding times are rare.
Yeah.
I mean, they used to be. Now I'm trying to, create like, because as you said, like if we don't have at least some sort of unwinding time, we
Yeah.
kind of go crazy. So, I like to read. I read a lot. Um, watch films. I play less video games than I used to.
Hmm.
Um, only the stuff that's really out there and that really interests me. I don't have time for like Final Fantasy anymore, for instance. I
I
like
don't.
the short.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has time for Final Fantasy anymore.
I used to love it, but uh, yeah. But what I'm trying right now is Device 6. I'm in the middle of it. It's
Hmm.
fantastic. Oh my god, it's
Hmm.
absolutely amazing. And those types of experiences, sure, and they're really innovative and they try to push the medium in some way. Those are the types of games that I like to play.
Right.
Uh, you know, that's basically it. Reading, games, films. That's my soccer sometimes, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
from Europe, we have to play soccer. It's in our blood.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Oh my gosh, I just had another question. Oh man, damn, it's gone. I had one. Okay. Of course, as as a developer and then as a media outlet for myself, um,
Yeah.
what? Okay. Here's a very loaded question, and I apologize for it.
I I
But
thought
what
they
do
were
you
easy questions.
what do you think the future of the game industry? What do you think is going to be the future of the game industry? Are we at a tipping point? I'm just going to give you my answer real quick, and then you can do whatever. But um,
Okay.
I think that devices like the Ouya, other smaller devices, or in the PC, have the potential for freedom of ideas to create stuff that is innovative and might be a little bit smaller because you don't have that impressive of a budget, but it doesn't matter as long as you can get it out there. Whereas you look at your PlayStation 4 and your Xbox One, it's all about online repeat titles where it's
Yeah.
it's about the Benjamins. There's no. I feel like innovation is dead on those platforms. So let's. What is your opinion?
Um, I think that is a loaded question.
I know it is.
Yeah, I can tell you what I'd like the future of the medium to be.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
um, one thing that I'd like it to be is to see it very much like film, to see it condensed to one platform.
Hmm.
So right now we have like 1,000
Yeah.
platforms that we can play games on.
Hmm.
I'd like to see it condensed to you either play on the TV or you play on mobile,
Right.
and there's one platform for that.
Right.
And I think that will happen at some point.
Hmm.
With with devices like the Apple TV and stuff like that, is really concentrating everything in one place, so you can play your games there. And that's all you need. Then, like, you
Right.
need that one device. You don't need to buy three devices to play all that's in the market, right? Um, and I'd like to see um, I'd like to see video games in general become more accessible to the mainstream public. That's
Hmm.
something that I really want to see. See video games in general as a have them being looked upon as something of cultural relevance. Of course, we're gonna need the titles to make the to meet those ends, But I,
Right.
I really want the perception that video games are toys and then they're time wasters. I really want that to change, and I really want developers to start tapping, and they have already been start tapping into the artistic possibilities
Right.
of video games, or whatever you want to. Video games at this point is such a loaded term
Yes.
that whatever we're gonna call them in the future, interactive experiences, whatever.
Hmm.
That's what I really want to see. I want people to get at a point where we don't ask, "Do you play games?" Because nobody asks, "Do you watch films or do you listen to music?" Of
Or do you
course,
read a book?
everybody
Or do
does,
you read
right?
books?
Exactly, exactly. I really want to get to a point where nobody has to ask, "Do you play games?"
Right.
Right? Everybody should be able
That's,
to.
I totally agree. I have to say that I think one of the advantage, first of all, Alter Confusion is almost exclusively about independently developed games.
That's great.
So I have to say that it's actually a breath of fresh air to review the games that I review because they have this element that seems to be truly lacking in AAA titles these days, and that is story. I love
Yeah.
story. I want to be lost in an adventure. I want to, sure, there should be some difficulty to it, but I understand that the majority of the triple titles, it's all about multiplayer. It's about the story that you create. But sometimes I want to just be, I don't want to have to create. I just want to, to be able to flow along with the story, especially if it's a good one. Because I've played a couple games where the story was just, I don't know what the hell they were doing. But, you know, as long as I, that's me. I love stories. And to be honest with you, one of my biggest issues with these, like this next generation of Final Fantasy and stuff, is they've gone more. Let's do as many random battles as possible, and let's make it damn near impossible for you to remember the storyline. And then, of
Yeah.
course, the Final Fantasy 13 has a 35-hour tutorial. What the? Anyways, whatever. But so I think we're on the same page with it. I agree. I think that we do need to get to a point where it's where if you play games, it's not that, oh my God, you're totally different from the rest of us, because yeah, almost everybody listens to the radio or watches TV or watches movies or reads books or reads magazines. But games is still that like taboo thing where they're like, ooh, I don't know, especially some of the titles of these games. But whatever. So
I definitely.
yeah. So, anyways, I want to thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule to
Well,
come on
thank
here
you.
and talk a little bit about your game, Thralled. And of course, it is coming out fall of 2014 on the Ouya exclusively. Um, okay, so is there a way to get the student version of the game? I know that I'm assuming that the student version isn't a complete vision or envisioning of what you want it to be, but is there a place
Yeah.
that somebody could possibly take a look at the game outside of the trailer?
Um, I would say email me about
Okay.
it.
Okay.
And yeah, it's definitely a possibility if people want to check out the student version. It's very rough and unpolished, but yeah, absolutely.
So for those individuals who are looking to find out more information, to potentially get more information, would their best way of getting contact you guys be at thrall.team@gmail.com, or your personal link or your personal email off the contact page for Thrall?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome.
Feel
Awesome.
free, feel free to contact me at any time about it, any questions that you may have about Thralled, or whether you'd like to try a beta version in the future. You know, we're always
For sure.
open to communicating with the people out there.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen who are going to see this interview. I will post the the website information along with the contact information so that you guys can check out a little bit more about Thralled in the future. But once again, thank you very much for coming on, and I will give you a link once this interview is up.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem.